There was a man called Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana. He was the first prime minister of Ghana. And later, the constitution of Ghana was later amended to have the office of the president. Kwame Nkrumah now became the first president of Ghana after becoming the first prime minister. So that's why we keep hearing Kwame Nkrumah, Kwame Nkrumah, Kwame Nkrumah. But while Kwame Nkrumah was in office, he now traveled to Hanoi, the then capital of North Vietnam, on a state visit on the invitation of the then leader of Vietnam. You know, those people, they hardly call them their leader president. Like just like in North Korea, leader of North Korea, Chinese leader. No, they will be like them big past president and leader. So when he was invited by the then leader of North Vietnam, so while Kwame Nkrumah was in Hanoi, his government back home in Ghana was toppled in a military coup. Now, young military officers like Emmanuel Katoka and Akwasi Afrifa were actively involved in the planning and execution of that coup. Now, the coup brought Kwame Nkrumah's regime to an end, but the coup plotters brought a more senior military officer to power as the head of state in the person of General Joseph Otto Ankara. So, Ankara, you know, accommodated, instead of him to stay away from coup people, he now accommodated the coup plotters and now gave them juicy position. Let's not forget, it was this Joseph Otto Ankara that brokered the Aburi Accord between Lieutenant Colonel Emeka Odumegwu Ojukwu and Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon in his attempt to prevent the outbreak of civil war in Nigeria in 1966. But General Otto Ankara also had a friend who was called Francis Otto Nzeribe. Now, Nzeribe was an international businessman, an arms dealer. So Ankara was accused of engaging in corrupt practices with Otto Nzeribe and was forced to resign from office. So Ankara now resigned. Maybe for Nigeria, where they need to resign. So he now resigned from office. That was how Akwasi Afrifa now became his successor as the new military head of state of Ghana. So Afrifa now governed for a short while and saw the conduct of a democratic election. He now handed power to the winner, Dr. Kofi Bosia, the second democratically elected president of Ghana. Now, Afrifa then retired and engaged in farming. He also took part in politics. He later contested for a seat in parliament and won, but never stayed alive to occupy that seat. Because by this time, Jerry Rawlings now became the president. And I will tell you what happened. Jerry Rawlings planned this coup, wanted to remove Akufo from power. The coup was unsuccessful. So Rawlings and the associates were arrested and detained. You understand? So General Fred Akufo now constituted a special court martial to try Rawlings. So Rawlings and the associates were tried, found guilty and sentenced to death by firing squad. So while in detention awaiting approval of Fred Akufo for their execution, a group of junior officers broke into the detention facility and freed Jerry Rawlings and others, and then caused the removal of General Fred Akufo from power and the enthronement of Rawlings as the new military head of state of Ghana. This is why he used to win sympathy. Jerry Rawlings said that the government of Ghana were loyal to the West. Now, why is it that anybody that becomes the president of Ghana will be going to West and be, bowing down to colonial masters? That he want to break that power. When he was arrested and put in detention, that why he planned coup. So he now made that comment that if he had succeeded in that coup, that would have broken the power of the colonial masters and they wouldn't have had influence on Ghana. That was where all the soldiers, now saw reasons to what he said and now became loyal to him. And while he was in detention, they said, no, instead of this man go die, this thing where this man they plan, it go make sense for this country. That was why, these young military officers, they broke in, freed Rawlings, and now removed the then sitting head of state, General Fred Akufo. And immediately, Rawlings now came into power. Rawlings now ordered for the arrest of former military head of state, including General Fred Akufo, who was just toppled. Now, he was now taken before a special court martial and pronounced guilty and sentenced to death by firing squad on the 26th of June, 1979. Fred Akufo was 42 at the time of his death. Now, immediately Rawlings just got power. That's why he say he want cleanse Ghana from corrupt elements. Started killing these people. Now, Jerry Rawlings, being the military head of state at that time, gave orders for other, execution. And on the 16th of June 1979, Acheampong was also taken before the stakes and shot dead. It was the first time in the history of Africa that a former head of state was tied to the stakes and fired.
Like a criminal.
Yeah, like a criminal. The international community was shocked, but for Rawlings, according to him, he said the execution needed to be carried out. And there was no apology, nor going back on it. When he did this thing, the people thought, okay, maybe now only this man he go kill. Not knowing that this was just the beginning. A former head of state, were also lined up and killed in the coming days. That was like 10 days later. And now the second head of state that was executed was this Akwasi Afrifa that I talked about. Now, Afrifa became the military head of state following unexpected resignation of his boss, General Ankara, that I talked about, the man of the Aburi Accord. The next head of state that was executed was General Fred Akufo. He was the last head of state before Rawlings. He is the person that succeeded General Acheampong through a palace coup. This one was coup. We were just taken over by coup. Another person that he killed was General Robert Kotei. Robert Kotei was the commissioner for information in the government of General Ignatius Acheampong. He also served as commissioner for housing. He later served as the chief of defense staff in the government of General Fred Akufo. He was very close to power. When Rawlings seized power from Fred Akufo, he made an announcement that all former political office holders should report to the nearest police station. So Kotei was one of the first to hit to the call. He surrendered himself to the officer in charge of the Achimota police station in Ghana. The police communicated to the military that Kotei had submitted himself. He was then taken away to face trial on charges of corruption. On 26 June 1979, he was also executed by firing squad. He himself was 43 years at the time of his execution. Another person that he killed was Roger Felly. Roger Felly was the colonel in the Ghana army. He served as the Minister of Foreign Affairs from 1975 to 1979. He served as the Commissioner for Trade and Industry, Commissioner for Finance, and Commissioner for Economic Planning. He was considered by Rawlings' government as one of the people that was too close to power. One day this man can come out me. So let me eliminate him. So on the 26th of June 1979, he was also lined up with others and killed by firing squad. He was 38 and the youngest among the people that was executed. Now there was another man called Air Vice Marshal George Bokie. Bokie served as the commander of the Ghanaian Air Force and a member of the Supreme Military Council of Ghana under General Ignatius Acheampong. As a commander of the Air Force, Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings was a junior officer to this man. But when Jerry Rawlings took over power, the man no send who be senior. Got him arrested and detained him. On the 26th of June 1979, he was also lined up and executed along other officers. At the time of his execution, Air Vice Marshal George Bokie, he was 41 years old. The first time he killed two at once. Later, he can't gather the rest one day. Wow. Remember, I keep mentioning one day, 26th of June 1979. 26th of June 1979. So he packed them different time, killed them that day. Another person he killed too was Rear Admiral Joy Kobla Amedume. He was the chief of naval staff. See the kind of people he was killing, top heavy military officers. He was also arrested and detained on charges of corruption. He was executed by firing squad along with other generals. He also killed Edward Kwaku Otuka. Rawlings considered him as corrupt and ordered for his arrest and detention. He was executed the same day with General Ignatius Acheampong. They were the first two that he killed, as one of the first two people executed by Rawlings' administration. Rawlings called it a house cleansing. He believed that Ghana will never develop if the generals were not eliminated. Several people went into jubilation in Ghana when the generals were killed. They saw Rawlings as the man of the moment and exactly the kind of leader they needed at that time. But others felt that the modus operandi of the Ghana under the watch of Rawlings was dictatorial, especially Ghanaians who live abroad. They were the ones who condemned it, because if they were in Ghana, they would have been arrested and also killed. So since they were abroad, they had the minds to talk against it. Many people around the world also saw the military tribunal as biased and saw the judgment as predetermined against the general. And worst of all, these generals were not given fair hearing. Once they just catch you, your own don't finish. Now the families, wives and children of these generals saw the killing of their fathers and husbands, by Rawlings as the worst thing that ever happened to them. So after Rawlings finished killing them, on Monday 24th September 1979, he now hand over power peacefully, to the former president Hilal Liman, and under the party called People's National Party, PNP, and they had the support of Kwame Nkrumah's followers. But 2 years later, on the 31st December 1981, Rawlings ousted the president again. Claiming that the civilian rule was weak and the country economy was deteriorating. Rawlings collected back and now ruled until when John Kufuor now became the president. Now the widows of the slain general that he killed in 1979 now asked for the bodies of their husband to be exhumed and given proper burial in their various homes. So the then president John Kufuor now agreed and granted their request. He said, according to the then president John Kufuor, that the reason why he granted that request was that he wants healings in the land, that's in Ghana, and also national reconciliation in the country, because that thing actually raised, because the way he was killing them, he actually raised a lot of problems and a lot of sentiment and bitterness among top politicians too. He's a free farm. He was arrested in his farm at the orders of Jerry Rawlings. He was detained, tried on a special court-martial on charges of corruption while in office, and now sentenced to death by firing squad on the 26th day of June 1979. He was 43 years then when he was killed, 10 days after the execution of Ignatius Achempong. And now this man, this Afrifa, his body was buried without a ceremony as a military man and or as a top politician of that status at Saswam Prison Cemetery, now in Ghana. He was 49 years old when he was executed too. Now he came to power on the 13th day of January 1972, when he was removed by President Kofi Bosia from power in a bloodless coup. Now he remained in office until 1978, when he was removed by his own deputy, Gerald Fred Akufo. Upon his removal from office, Achempong now ended his military career, now went back home and lived a private life. When Jerry Rawlings now became the military head of state, he ordered for the arrest of Achempong, then taken before a military court-martial. Accused of corruption too, he was pronounced guilty by the court-martial and also sentenced to death by firing squad.